Good morning. Welcome to Connect Daily Bread, where we recognize that man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. The words we'll be looking at today are in Luke chapter 21. Here we go. As Jesus looked up, he saw the rich putting their gifts into the temple treasury. He also saw a poor widow put in two very small copper coins. Truly, I tell you, he said, this poor widow has put in more than all the others. All these people gave their gifts out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in all she had to live on. Some of his disciples were remarking about how the temple was adorned with beautiful stones and with gifts dedicated to God. But Jesus said, as for what you see here, the time will come when not one stone will be left on another. Every one of them will be thrown down. Teacher, they asked, when will these things happen? And what will be the sign that they're about to take place? He replied, watch out that you're not deceived, for many will come in my name, claiming, I am he, and the time is near. Do not follow them. When you hear of wars and uprisings, do not be frightened. These things must happen first, but the end will not come right away. Then he said to them, nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be great earthquakes, famines, and pestilences in various places, and fearful events and great signs from heaven. But before all this, they will seize you and persecute you. They will hand you over to synagogues and put you in prison, and you will be brought before kings and governors, and all on account of my name. So you will bear testimony to me. But make up your mind not to worry beforehand how you will defend yourself, for I will give you words and wisdom that none of your adversaries will be able to resist or to contradict. You will be betrayed even by parents, brothers and sisters, relatives and friends, and they will put some of you to death. Everyone will hate you because of me, but not a hair of your head will perish. Stand firm, and you will win life. When you see Jerusalem being surrounded by armies, you will know that its desolation is near. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let those in the city get out. Let those in the country not enter the city. For this is the time of punishment and fulfillment of all that has been written. How dreadful it will be in those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. There will be great distress in the land and wrath against this people. They will fall by the sword and will be taken as prisoners to all the nations. Jerusalem will be trampled on by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. People will faint from terror, apprehensive of what is coming on the world, for the heavenly bodies will be shaken. At that time, they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. When these things begin to take place, stand up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. He told them this parable. Look at the fig tree and all the trees. When they sprout leaves, you can see for yourselves that they know that summer is near. Even so, when you see these things happening, you know that the kingdom of God is near. Truly I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. Be careful, or your hearts will be weighed down with carousing, drunkenness, and the anxieties of life, and that day will close on you suddenly like a trap, for it will come on all of those who live on the face of the earth. Be always on the watch and pray that you may be able to escape all that is about to happen, and that you may be able to stand before the Son of Man. Each day, Jesus was teaching at the temple, and each evening he went out to spend the night on the hill called the Mount of Olives. And all the people came early in the morning to hear him teach. All right, so first off, we see that Jesus is observing in the temple treasury, right? People are putting their gifts in there. And then all of a sudden he gets really excited about a little old lady putting in a tiny gift. And he's jacked up about this because he says, in fact, in God's math, he says, man, she put in more than anyone else. And the disciples have to be looking at him like, dude, what's going on here, Lord? And he explains that. He says, man, all these people, they gave their gifts out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in all she had to live on. Right. So in God's economy, again, it's all about the heart. And that's truly what he's after. That's the treasure in Jesus's eyes, is the hearts of human beings. He came to redeem and to rescue and to heal broken hearts. And so he's seeing that, man, this little lady, she actually trusts me. She actually trusts the Father, that we're going to meet her needs and take care of her. And so out of that love, devotion, and trust, she put in the little bit that she had. And so a takeaway for you and I is that we have potential today to do seemingly small acts of faith that get the attention and the applause of Jesus. And then Jesus warns about the destruction of the temple and of the end times, right? In verse 5, some of his disciples were remarking about how the temple was adorned with beautiful stones. And he says, man, as for what you see here, the time will come when not one stone will be left on another. Every one of them will be thrown down. And they ask for explanation. When will this happen? And he lays out, some of the craziness that's going to happen in their lifetimes, right? It is the way that I understand this passage, and many scholars do, that the first portion is like in the disciples' lifetime, and I'll break some of that down, and then he turns to the end times prior to his return, right? But he lays out, things are going to get wild in these guys' lifetime, and the temple would be destroyed. But in verse 12 he says, but before all this, they will seize you and persecute you. And he tells them they're going to be betrayed by parents, relatives, friends. That things are going to get really rough, that everyone will hate them because of me. But if they stand firm, they will win life. And history tells us that all of the 11 of the 12 apostles lose their life for the faith. Right, and we know Judas takes himself out of the picture, but in Acts 1, a guy named Matthias fills that role, and then 11 lose their life for faith in Jesus, and then it's the Apostle John. He gets exiled to the island of Paphos, and then so in verse 20, when you see Jerusalem being surrounded by armies, you will know that its desolation is near. All right, so this time, talking about Jerusalem being surrounded and the temple being destroyed. History tells us that took place in AD 70. And Jesus laid out, hey, man, this is going to happen. And the temple was totally destroyed, right? Not one stone left on the other, and just absolute devastation on Israel during that time. And then we move into the end time stuff, which really I don't spend much time in speculation there. I just here's what stands out to me about that. Towards the end in verse 34, be careful or your hearts will be weighed down with carousing, drunkenness, and the anxieties of life, and that day will close on you suddenly like a trap, for it will come on all those who live on the face of the earth. Be always on the watch and pray that you may be able to escape all that is about to happen, so that you may be able to stand before the Son of Man. So really in verse 36, I think Jesus gives us the key practical takeaway for this, because we don't know the time or the day, and it's just not wise to waste time speculating about that, but rather we can take what he has to say to heart here. That to be on watch, to pray, and to be living for him in a way today, in each day, that will enable us to be able to stand before him on that day that he does return. And then it just closes out the chapter that each day Jesus was teaching at the temple. He went out at night to the Mount of Olives. And that we see just in his final week that all the people came early in the morning to hear from him at the temple. So there's really a short but very powerful time in the closing days of Jesus' ministry on earth. So those are my thoughts for today. Go ahead and comment what stood out to you. Love you guys. Have a good day.